Some things make or break your D&D games, but today we're talking about your favorite unnecessary spells, things that you don't really need to make the game great, but they're there and you love them for it. Us D&D players can never really get enough. Whether you play 3 times a week or once a month, part of you always craves more. We get our fix however we can, by watching short stories online, D&D live streams, Baldur's Gate. Well, allow me to offer you something new. The best available follows a party of new adventurers trying to make a name for themselves in hopes of being sponsored in a competition. Waterdeep's Festival of Heroes, which sees the chosen parties delving into the depths of Undermountain, risking life and limb to suppress the evils and monsters below to protect the city above. The Dungeon of the Mad Mage is filled with danger, treasure, glory, and mysteries yet to be revealed. Come watch the journey from humble beginnings into heroic legend as we adapt a campaign years in the making into an illustrated web series with art from Doodle Poodle, author of Tales from the Tables. We pride ourselves in converting hours-long sessions into smoothly paced episode with limited animation, music, blood, sweat, and tears. Get in on the ground floor of something great and join the Forever DMs table today. Link in the description. Feigned death. It's so dramatic and mostly useless, but it's funny as hell too. I like putting it on enemies with contingency, dropping below 30 HP. Probably find traps because it doesn't even tell you where the traps are. Reincarnate. It has so much potential, but it's less convenient than other resurrection spells with no side effects. Mending. Nice for artificers, but I love it on my wizard. I spend downtime offering to fix minor things around the village for favors or coin. Hey, has anyone taken Magic Mouth seriously? I think it has some absolutely silly applications. The unfortunate part is that it has consumable components. Now, I have heard the computer thing before, by the way. I would not consider that a serious use of Magic Mouth. I don't think any DM or table for that matter would allow one player to do this. What's the computer thing? Someone tell me. Unseen Servant. It helps in the camp. I once used it to find herbs that defended the party from jungle mosquitoes. So we needed new herbs every day. Prestidigitation! Has almost zero use for adventuring, yet it's such a quality of life benefit that all my casters take it. Continual Flame. 50 gold piece ruby dust, and a 2nd level spell slot for the utility of a cantrip. But damn if it doesn't look cool as hell when cast on weapons or armor. Gentle Repose. My angsty dead husband necromancer cleric always had it prepared, just in case, in a campaign with no PC deaths. Even after she assembled the components to always prepare Revivify. It felt more like a personality trait than a spell. Encode Thoughts. Want to get those traumatizing events out of your head? Well, Encode Thoughts has got you covered. Don't want to leak confidential info to your enemies? Encode Thoughts. Do you want to transfer your consciousness to another being, but your ISP is just saying that's too much bandwidth? Screw it. Encode Thoughts. Does it actually work rules as written? No. But who cares? No one actually uses this spell, so make it more interesting. It's from Unearthed Arcana, I believe, but synchronicity. I just love the idea of a spell that makes everything be in exactly the right place at exactly the right time. I sometimes feel that Detect Magic is one of those spells. You walk into a mansion or some such place and you know there are plot-relevant things there. Someone always casts Detect Magic and walks around. And wouldn't you know, the place is full of it. Unseen servants in the kitchen, mysterious altars that turn out to be magic, light spells, illusions, friendly ghosts, and magic books that disappointingly turn out to not be very relevant at all. That said, I'm sure in the next game I play, I'm going to wish I had it. Magic Stone! Such a basic concept, but I really love the idea of it. It also gives a use for the sling over the other weapons, which is just a 2-for-1 deal that's commonly overlooked. Rope Trick. Having a tabaxi wizard essentially create a defensive portal to hide for ritual spells or potions, or just an hour to game plan became the cornerstone of the party. I was the DM. It was a challenge, but in hindsight, it was a memorable tactic. In theory, Spare the Dying is super useful, but my group has very rarely used it. I'm not even 100% sure we have, despite years of playing together, although I think I have vague memories of it happening. It seems like someone always has a healing spell to get them awake again, a potion to administer, or someone with a healer's kit gets there first. Speak with animals. I've used it to talk to fish to help find sunken treasure. I've asked fish to eat the barnacles off the hull of our ship so we wouldn't have to pay for it. I've talked to birds to guide me to locations and whatnot. It's a fun roleplay spell and a polite way to ask your DM where to go. Well, you could also use it to talk to dogs, cats, wolves, bears, and coerce them one way or the other to help you defeat your enemies. Gust of Wind. What you get after eating Taco Bell? Well, it's not a flashy spell, but one time it triggered from a wand of wonder that a party member had while we were in a fight in a fortress. One poor mob was literally just trying to get out of a room into the hallway where we were, but on every turn he failed the strength save against the wind and ended up dying by being picked off at range and blown against the wall. One of my top 5 spells is Galder's Tower. Being able to place a tiny little clay tower on the ground and have it grow into a unique home for your party is amazing. But everyone takes Leomun's tiny hut instead. Gift of Gab. I always think it's amazingly cool, but then I realize I'm usually the face of my party. So I'm already super careful about how I speak to NPCs in regular 50-50 RP combat games. I've never been in a great roleplay campaign where it would actually be useful. Create Spelljammer Helm. I find it so funny. Why does it exist? If you're not in a setting with spelljammers, it's useless. If you are in a setting with spelljammers, then you should probably be able to just buy one anyway. If spelljamming helms are so rare that you can't easily procure one without casting this spell, of course, there probably isn't enough plot in Wild Space to make it worth going out there. My current warlock has the Prestidigitation cantrip, mainly for role-playing reasons, of course. He's this posh fashionista, so even the thought of getting his pashmina's shirt dirty is a nightmare for him. Oh, just use club soda, darling. Get it out, get it out. But also, we had to distract a room service worker, so my warlock used this spell to soil the tent they had rented, as well as using his knowledge of fabrics to make the tent look like it was in bad shape anyway. Then he convinced the room service worker that there was a problem with the tent, so the rest of the party could sneak into the tent rental office. Unseen Servant. It's a ritual that basically lets you have a formless temporary servant or butler. Tome warlocks can grab it to cast at will, and never have to worry about traps again. My DM made it so they are actual conscious souls, and they formed a union because my dwarven warlock was tired of dying in the Tomb of Annihilation, which he ported over from 1st edition to 5th edition. But after the first insta-death trap, everyone was like, okay, let's be real careful. Hence the servant union. We won't work. We won't work. The maze spells is so hilarious to me. I got my first taste of it when my half-orc paladin warlock grabbed an energy core from a giant building, and it reacted harshly. It was wild magic, and it ended up casting maze on him along with some other spells and effects. The giant aftermath of that became a big search and rescue. Nobody could find me, not even my own patron or god. It took several wish spells to bring me back. The DM was being funny, using monkey's paw shenanigans during the wish spells. This brings me to conclude that just being able to banish your opposition, or perhaps a pesky party member, to what is essentially an infinite chamber of isolation is hilarious to me. Why deal with your problems when you can just put them away in a demi-plane? Am I right? Yeah? Do you want that as like an Etsy store? Create bonfire. Well, fire spreads, so DM permitting, you can break concentration on subsequent turns and make huge fires very quickly. But you could do the same thing with a firebolt. Combine it with control flames to change the color of your fire to something pretty, or to make pictures in the fire. My personal favorite is making maps in the flames. Alter self. If a GM allows it, the character can effectively become a cartoon character or Plastic Man-style character. However, overall, it does too little for an effect that is essentially a worse version of Disguise Self. You have to concentrate on it, and you get a few niche abilities that are rarely used, including a combat one that can easily be lost if you lose concentration. Overall, great flavor, but a missed opportunity. Preserve food and water. In my current campaign, we don't really keep track of when we eat, yet I had it on my cleric's spell list anyway. We came into an encounter where we got the jump on 3 NPCs. They looked like bandits and effectively murdered 2 of them and took the hand from the 3rd before he spent his turn begging us for mercy. So anyway, here's what I did. I used preserve food and water to keep his lopped off hand fresh, and he joined our party until we found a cleric that could actually put it back on. Find familiar. I will always try to convince my dungeon masters to let me have a small, cute, helpless, weird creature for puzzle solving, deep roleplay moments, and spying on enemies or friends. Dream is really cool, but there aren't that many times where you're going to use it. If you do have a known big bad evil guy or somebody else you really don't like, it is pretty cool to harass them with constant Freddy Krueger-esque nightmares and theoretically soften them up for a confrontation. I've made a homebrew cantrip called Summon Chair. It creates an invisible chair that only the caster or appropriately powerful beings can see or interact with. No one else can affect it with themselves or any wielded object, but it does affect the environment. As an example, puts weight on rug when sat on, that kind of thing. Lightning Lure would be cool if it was a bonus action. I could imagine making a Thor-like caster character if Lightning Lure didn't eat up the action economy. Then again, I'm not well versed in the game. There could be lots of ways to overcome this that I haven't seen before. I think Friends is a hilarious spell and a good sitcom. The range is self, but it affects a creature that isn't you, with no given range. No save, lasts for a minute, and when the spell ends, the affected creature becomes hostile. So it's actually a cantrip that makes anyone in the world an enemy after a minute. Is your game not hard enough? Cast Friends on Asarak. Congrats, new big bad evil guy. Hey everyone, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and if you want to help us keep the dice rolling and the beer flowing, the lights on, and us growing, make sure to join the membership. You don't have to, but we will appreciate that infinitely. That said, what is your favorite unnecessary spell? We love you all. See you next time. Toodaloo.